Today's mission, mids and highs. So some people have been asking me, where's the Caddy? Why is it taking so long? How come it's not finished yet? Well, truth of the matter is if you've been watching this build, you know that I'm running a dual voltage system in here. I got 14 volt lithium batteries in the back that charge at 16.5 to 17 volts. I'm staying at around 16.5. And I got a front lithium battery that charges at 14 plus. And everything's meshed together with the step down box. If you look at the previous videos, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But that's not the real problem. The real problem is that my amplifiers, the Demore Engineering A series, are made for a 12 volt system. A 12 volt system like up front that charges at 14.5, like the maximum 15.1, 15.2 is what those things really like before they start going into protect. Well, I'm pushing the limits right now. My guys at Demore Engineering told me that it might be a problem to be pushing 16.5 volts to these Class A/AB amplifiers. They're just not designed for it. And the reason why I did it is because being Class AB, they're gonna suck the life out of my alternator, so I want to give them all the juice I can possibly give them so they're never suffering. But the problem is, that amplifier on the bottom right, that one did not like it. It was going into protect way before the other amps. The other amps weren't going into protect at all, actually. So I don't know what was going on with it, so I sent it back. Those guys worked on it, they sent it back to me. So that amp came back months ago, ready to go, good to go, everything's fine. But the other problem is that we moved. We moved a little bit further away, and I got the new house, and we're working on everything at the house. And trust me, it's easy to get sidetracked when you get a new pad like we did. And well, I had to get my home system working, as you saw in the most recent videos. My home theater, my home sound system needs to be working, and I just completely sidetracked. And of course, you know the excuse always is that this shop is slammed ass busy all the time. The only reason it's quiet in here is because it's super early, and I just got here. The only quiet time I get is between 4 and like 6:30 in the morning. So it's quiet now, but it's gonna be getting a lot louder here in about 15 minutes. Just so you guys know, I'm not deleting my back seat. Back seat goes up, everything's hidden. Well, it's not really hidden because these are captain's chairs, but I do have a second row, just no third row. I don't think I've ever owned an SUV and kept the third row for anything. That's strictly reserved for B. Let's turn this thing on real quick so I can show you that it all still does work. It sounds good. It's just the mids and highs I gotta get done. This will eventually be a real remote, obviously. It's getting ran, but right now, it's how we're gonna turn it on. Okay, so a couple things. Obviously, don't mind that remote wire I just stuck in there, and don't mind this optical cable going into the audio control. That's getting ran too as well, as soon as I get done with this other stuff. It's just not ready yet, we're not finished. But here's what the colors look like. Everything's still working there, and of course we got the box.
But I was too far. She called my phone trying to reach me, but that was too hard. She wanted to see me in the day.
Okay, so I've got a trim panel already made for this back piece. It's out of cardboard, and it needs to be refined, but it's pretty much what I'm thinking. I'm just not going to do any trim work till all the wires are ran and the mids and highs are playing.
Fresh kicks, murder scene, toe tag. Got them hooked like fiends with that coke cap. Look something like a Lambo when I blow past. I'm perfect plex and they wish, but somehow I hex them. Go right and then left. Fars me, I'm not used to defeat. The crew is complete.
mids and highs don't sound so bad, to be honest. I hate to rip them out, but you know, the B2 is going to be so much better, and they're going to be ran off those DeMoor Engineering amps. But enough playing around. Just wanted to show you that everything's working, everything's cool. It's time to do the dirty work. So what we have here ready to go, and this same setup is on both sides. We got two 6.5s, 3-inch, and tweeter. 14 gauge, 12 gauge, and we got a remote wire. Before I can even think about running any kind of wires, I gotta see what's behind this panel so I can see what I'm up against and what my plans even are. I don't even know what my plans are yet. I just know a couple sets of B2 audio 3-ways, and that's it.
Testimony in the courtroom, so that's been a little bit different. We've seen Reverend Al Sharpton, Reverend Jesse Jackson, both show up for this trial, sitting in the gallery, listening to some of the testimony. There have been demonstrations outside by groups of black pastors as well, and an increasing number of demonstrators there. All of those.
So I have no idea what I'm gonna do. I'm just going for it. So something like this right here is what I'm thinking. Got a spot up there to do the tweeters. I'm gonna have to make it happen. Already pulled the door panel apart, and something going on right here. I don't know. I'm gonna have to get on the cardboard and on the scissors and start creating. Hopefully, I come up with something. I could probably pretty easily just run one set of 3-ways in these doors and call it done. I wouldn't even have to do any modifying. But I have it all set up for 2 sets. I don't know why I do this to myself. I have no idea. But we need extra output, and to get extra output, you need more speakers and more channels, and I have lots of channels and lots of speakers, so let's try it and see what happens.
And that's when the first smartphone was introduced. It was by IBM. It was called IBM Simon.
Did that smartphone have a mute button on it? Like, wait a second, did he just call up the phone or what happened? That was mute texted in. I do not advocate a leave. That's brilliant. I don't know who wrote that.
I like it.
That is a great text. Because I think we all know it's just a big word. 518 put too much money into the economy. And he doubled down again on that.
Because there's a certain segment of the population that hello, this is Discover, and we take customer service. Do know that if you have a question or concern about your credit person, day or night, Discover, exceptionally common sense.
Prices are shooting up, but Americans are buying anyway. They call it the fourth quarter growth. The Commerce Department reports total retail sales in October growth online and in person fell 1.7%. It wasn't just on necessities. The data shows that consumer spending on the national average has been trending down slightly in recent days. September faded last month. And supply chain choke points and the shortage of labor remain big headwinds.
Saw a large number of people starting their own companies and entrepreneurship, which is something we haven't seen in this country.
Number 1 margarita.
For more from Luke Bryan and similar artists now,
Search for Luke Bryan on iHeartRadio.
all your favorite music,
All your favorite stations.
all free.
This time last year.
Try to alleviate
something like this, except for I want these to be a little closer together, so that means I'm going to butcher this up a little bit. Going back now. Yeah. Woohoo. Alright, this is what we're looking at right now. Still completely under construction. I'm not quite sure exactly what I'm going to do, even still. So, you might not ever even see this video, but if you do, that means it worked out. So, lots of cardboard cutting, lots of adjustments being made. This is probably like my 10th piece. So, this doesn't just fall out of the sky. Anyhow, back at it. So after seeing what my screen is going to look like and where my speakers are actually going to be inside this panel, I am going to have to cut this a little bit more. That's okay though. We're good. So far so good. So this is just a little piece that I drew up. I'm going to try it out over there on a slab. This is just a practice piece. When it comes to this stuff, when it's a one-off, everything's a practice piece. Until I decide to make hundreds of them, which I won't. So it's all one-off, it's all scraps, it's all scissors, it's all cardboard, until I'm happy. And then it's done. about 2 more inches to go before I can have this ring where I want it. And then from there, we can start making our screen. If you haven't guessed, this screen is not going to have holes in it like that. I was using that for reference just to know where the speakers are going to be. So we'll see how that turns out later. Look like the same little template from before, but it's not. The holes are in different places because these ones actually have to grab onto the vehicle. The other ones are going to grab on to the one that it's sitting on top of. Countersunk, they shouldn't get in the way. We got 3 layers. And this door panel is a little uneven from the factory, so it's gonna have to get modified once I pull it out. So it's tight on one side, has a gap on the other, but we're gonna fill that. It's gonna be sweet. It's gonna be perfect, I think. Alright, I wrapped it all with a little bit of second skin just to make it all nice and clean. And before I put this door panel back on, I'm going to pull all this off. And I'm going to second skin the door and tie into that pod, and then this thing should be good to go. So we're still under construction. We've got a lot of work to do before we can even think about calling this side done. But it's going in a good direction. I'm happy so far. Alright, door 1 or door 2? Door 2 is still under construction. Door 1 is stock. We should be cool real soon.